Now let's discuss some short stacked adjustments on the turn. And it's important to realize that when you're playing deeper stacked, there's usually going to be one more street remaining to play because you're going to have a bunch more chips remaining. For example, if you raise to 2 big blinds pre-flop, bet 4 big blinds on the flop, bet 8 big blinds on the turn, that is 14 big blinds out of your 40 big blind stack or more, which means you have 26 big blinds remaining, right? Allowing you to make a 2/3 pot size river bet or whatever it is. When you're playing shallower stack, though, if you just use that same betting I just outlined, you're actually all in on the turn, right? So, shorter stack, you will often be all in by the turn more often. And it's very important that following these short stacked adjustments I'm about to list is very, very, very important. In general, continuation betting using geometric sizing must be taken into account to ensure that you are giving your opponents roughly the same odds on each betting round, because that's going to put them in a pretty miserable spot. Also, when facing bets, equity denial with all ins is going to be very, very relevant. If someone bets and you're basically all in, you might as well just put your whole stack in, because if you can get your opponent to fold out anything, it's usually going to be pretty reasonable. So you're going to find that as you have a pretty strong hand, you're just getting your money in. It really is as simple as that. I know a lot of people really don't like the idea of feeling like they're out of control in a poker tournament because they want to make sure they are getting their tournament life in really, really good. But if you have something like top pair, third kicker, 20 big blinds deep, hate to break it to you, you're not folding. And you're going to find that whenever you call someone's flop bet and then they put you all in on the turn, call with your good hands, fold your bad hands. It's really not all that difficult. Also, kind of neat with your premium made hands, if you do have a really, really, really premium hand that is the super nuts, you are still going to want to consider slow playing. And that's because that allows your opponent to put in the last bit of their chips really, really poorly. Unless, of course, they would rather deny equity. And it turns out if there are like any draws available whatsoever and your opponent's already bet, I don't know, 10 big blinds out of their 20 big blind stack, then you probably just want to get your stack in. By the way, whenever you are facing a shallower stacked player, they're often going to bet 2 big blinds pre-flop, 2 big blinds on the flop, and then something like 4 big blinds on the turn, right? So sometimes your opponents will use very small bets to where they put in 2 pre-flop, 2 on the flop, 4 on the turn. That equals 8. So they still have 12 left going to the river. So don't think that everything we discussed so far is just completely irrelevant when you're playing shallower stacked, because quite often if your opponents do use small sizes, you're going to be playing the river just like you would be in a 40 big blind deep pot. So everything we discussed pretty much still applies when your opponent's using smaller bet sizes, but when they start using bigger bet sizes, even if they are a slightly more polarized, you're not trying to make big folds or anything like that when you're playing shallow stacked, unless, of course, your opponent's just a super net and only puts their money in when they have the absolute nuts.